What is up, geeks? So today I am doing a Logan movie review, and I'll be attempting to do it with these claws on. Now, I have to say, Logan was such an amazing movie, and just an FYI, I will be doing spoilers, of course. I'm going to try to be as detailed as possible. I did get to see Logan twice, so I wanted to see it at least twice so that way I can give you guys enough input and something that's worth watching for this video. So anyway, if you guys are wondering where I got these claws from, I'm actually borrowing them from my dad. He cosplays as Wolverine twice for New York Comic Con. And this is from Ruby's Costume Company, if you're wondering. And if you guys want me to do a review, I can. But anyway, so Logan. It was rated R. It was completely just berserker barrage. It was violent. There was a bunch of F-bombs left and right, and I have to say that wasn't the reason why it was so good, but it did add a lot to it. It was a added bonus. But I will say that the number one thing about Logan was the story. The story driven by the characters, and the characters, were well acted. I have to say that, this movie can potentially be nominated for, if not an Oscar, maybe a Golden Globe or something. As far as the acting ability of Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman, they put their heart and their soul into these characters who, for those who watch, and you should have watched if you're watching this review because it's spoiler filled, they had to say goodbye to their characters. Charles Xavier sees his end again, and this time I think it's for real. Well, it should be. It will be. But there's always a way around it if they wanted to bring these characters back. But these actors are playing these characters for the last time, so respectfully so, this should be the end for each of the characters. But I'll just put my claws out like this so you guys can see it. But Wolverine, of course, in the comics, he can never really die. There's certain ways that you can kill him. Now, in this movie, the adamantium is apparently poisoning him, which is an interesting take on it, because for so many, hundreds of centuries, he's been alive, and he's been healing, but the adamantium has slowed his healing dramatically to the point where it seems like he died. Now, technically, can he still survive? I think he could. I think, his healing will be so slow to the point where maybe he'll resurrect in maybe a year or so, or not even, maybe a couple months. And they could potentially bring him back for that. But, I mean, Hugh Jackman said this is his last time. I think it should be his last time. It would have been cool to see him in an X-Force movie or team up with Deadpool. But, unfortunately, this was the last time. And I think it was for the best because we got one of the best performances from any superhero. Any actor who played a superhero in recent memory. I think Heath Ledger was probably the closest. But, I mean, he was a super villain. With the Joker. That was probably the best performance ever of all time in a superhero movie. And this one has to go to Hugh. The second one would have to go to Hugh Jackman. He did so good. And Patrick Stewart is totally up there too as a supporting actor. To see the range of Patrick Stewart was great because we saw him so calm, cool, and collected for so many years, and finally we got to see him completely lose himself, completely be a different kind of Charles Xavier that we're not used to. And Logan, to go completely inhuman and then become human at the end of the movie. And I have to say, one of the best child or young, I don't know, not young teen because she's like 10 or 11 years old or something like that in real life. But I guess child actor. One of the best child actor performances ever in cinema that I've ever seen in my life was with this X-23 character. I think Dafne Keen is her name in real life. Dafne Keen, I think I know her first name is Daphne for sure, but Daphne was amazing. The fact that she was mute through most of the movie, and then eventually you realize she's not mute, she can speak. It was so good, and the way that she interacted with the characters without even speaking was marvelous. The way that she eventually, speaks and interacts with Logan was so good. And I have to say that Logan might be my number 2 as far as the X-Men universe goes. Or actually number 3. Number 3. Number 1 has to go to Deadpool. Number 2, Days of Future Past. Because I still think that storyline is just so amazing. And you guys know why Deadpool is number 1. But number 3, definitely Logan. So, just hands down, so good. As far as the overall superhero movies, that would be really hard to say. I think it's definitely in the top 10, most definitely. As far as top 5, it'll be hard to argue. Because I know Dark Knight's up there. I know that Avengers 1 is up there. Civil War is up there. So that might kick it out of the top 5 already, but it's definitely, most definitely on my top 10, hands down. As far as performances go, as far as quality of a movie, I'd have to say, not just because of it's my favorite or anything, not based off favoritism, but critically acclaimed or critically analyzed, I'd have to say number 1, probably Dark Knight. Number 2 might be Days of Future Past. And number 3 might have to be Logan. Very close with Deadpool. I mean, Deadpool was a completely different kind of movie. But the acting, of course, with Ryan Reynolds was amazing. So, and speaking of Deadpool, I saw this movie with my friend Xavier, and I was kind of calling that he'd be in the movie. Now, I was kind of wrong, kind of right. It was a prelude to the movie. It was a trailer for Deadpool 2. But it's interesting because usually we see trailers at the end of movies. I think that it was a good call that they decided to put this teaser at the beginning because, by the end of the movie, you don't want to see anything else. You're kind of mourning for the death of Logan. So I think they ended it perfectly without showing a teaser and any kind of clip at the end. So that's probably why they decided to put this in the beginning. Otherwise, it would have been at the end. But, it was amazing. It was a great start to the movie. It kind of got you, in the mood. I have to say that Deadpool teaser was amazing. It was funny. It was really funny. And it makes me hyped up for the movie. And seeing that longer version online is even better with Stan Lee in it. But that's just funny how I kind of sort of called it. Not really, but, it was cool to see Deadpool. Now, like I said before, it's unfortunate that we won't be able to see an X-Force movie with Wolverine and Deadpool, especially these actors that are playing now. It would have been great to see Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. I think their chemistry would have been hilarious. I mean, we kind of saw a glimpse of it in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but that was a bad example. But it would have been amazing. I think their chemistry would have been great. But, I won't ever say never, but it's probably not going to happen. But anyway, guys, let me see what else I might be missing. The violence was just the action scenes with the fact that, X-24 was pretty cool, by the way. It was a nice surprise. But when he just, completely decapitates a guy, it goes like, whew, and just, that was cool. And that's something we've never seen in a Wolverine or X-Men movie. Every time, Wolverine took the claws out and, literally, he goes like this. Goes like this to the guy, and it goes straight through his head, or it goes through the side of his head, just like, it's just, or should I say, like that. It was crazy. It was so cool to see. As far as a comic book lover, it was amazing to see those scenes. Would have been cool to see him in the suit. I know a lot of people are kind of bummed that we never saw him in the suit. It would have been nice if he just put it on and was just like, oh, F this, But unfortunately, there was no way to fit it in. We did get a glimpse of it at the deleted scenes for The Wolverine, the second movie of the Wolverine trilogy. But we never got to see him wear it. It would have been cool, but, it's okay. He kind of throws a jab at it. This kind of Wolverine in the movie universe seems like he would laugh at that idea, and he thinks it's stupid because he says something about the comics, which is canon in the X-Men universe. Just a different kind of storyline, but anyway, the comics in the X-Men universe, he says they're running around in leotards, and half of it's true. You know, he says that in the movie to X-23. And so, you know, it doesn't seem like he would have worn it anyway. But it would have been cool. Would have been cool. But it was a nice... I would have to say the Easter egg of showing the comics off was pretty cool. It was nice. What else am I missing? I think the villain, which is kind of like... really not just one person, but Xander Rice, the whole, you know, company he's working for, Transigen, and that other dude who kind of sounds like Gambit. For those, you know, like he has that kind of accent. But I think it was pretty well played out. Having not one just big villain kind of helped with the characters themselves, the main characters that we got to really get to know. And we were able to focus on this. It was very, very much character driven, this story, and I love that. The new mutants, the young mutants, were really cool to see them with their powers. You know, a part of me was a little bummed that we didn't get to see how it ended with them. Maybe that's going to be a future movie. Maybe we'll find out somehow or another. Maybe a little short. That would be cool. But the way it ended, I think, was perfect. You know, I think one of the best moments of the movie, aside from the death of Logan, you know, him finally saying, "Oh, this is how it feels like." That really hit my heart, you know, when he says that to his daughter, you know, to Laura. The other part was when Laura took the cross, put it on the side, and it became an X. That was amazing. That was a great way to end the story. So before I go on for forever, because I can, about this movie, I love this movie so much. I had to say this movie was near perfect. I'd give it probably a 4.5 out of 5. If there's anything to take away, I'd probably say, you know, those things that I was nitpicking at, maybe, you know, the fact that we never saw him in the costume, even if he just like threw it on for a second, threw it off. But that has nothing to do with the movie. They didn't plan to do it, so that's a bit of a nitpicky thing. I think, you know, I guess the reason why I would say 4.5 out of 5, they never fully explain how the X-Men died. Now you kind of get an allusion towards it. Before Professor Xavier dies, he says something, "I remember what happened at Westchester." So you're assuming that he had a seizure and he killed the X-Men. We know that the other mutants died through, you know, some kind of pollution, something put into plants and such that gave mutants polio and different diseases and killed them off that way by Transigen. But, you know, you get that illusion, which I guess some people would argue that's a better way of putting it without having to be so blatant about it. Or even showing off a scene, which they were originally going to do. And it is pretty jarring when you think about it like that. But I think the reason why is because without enough explanation, and if you're not a comic book fan, it may have gone past you and you might have been confused by it. You know, I think that typical viewer might be confused watching this movie at certain scenes because not a lot of things are explained to you. But it's a very, very small little thing that I'd say. That's why I'd still give it a 4.5 out of 5. And out of 10, I'd probably go for a 9.5 or a 9. So thank you guys for watching. I don't want to ramble on anymore, but this was fun to do. So, you know, moment of silence for our fallen Logan. But he did an amazing performance, and I can't wait for this DVD so I can watch it over and over. So thank you guys for watching. Until next time, embrace, express, and enjoy yourself. May the Force be with you always, my young Padawan.